Hello, and welcome to the Persuasive Speech. My name is Ron Miller, and my topic today is on the cost of public elections. As we all know, they have reached new records as of our last federal one. And here is my audience. You can wave.
Wave. Her hair. Did you get yourself?
And here I am.
Okay.
Thank you, Howie.
You're welcome, Ron.
Now, the amount of money as I said before, the amount of money to elect a candidate has getting out of control. We recorded the number of $5.3 billion was spent on the federal election in 2008 by both parties, that's all parties combined. Most of all of that was all made by donations. And the number seems a little high, but when we hear $5.3 billion, do we actually know what that is? That's what 5.3 billion or 5.285 billion, I rounded up, because once you get to that height, what's $15 million? Yeah, seriously. What's the problem? Well, the spending restraint, most of the laws are passed by our people that we elect into office, so a lot of the problem is that they have a hard time cutting off their own legs. The politician written campaign finance reform doesn't work out too well. There's always some kind of loophole, and we go into where we're at right now. I picked up this picture online. I love it. It's an American flag with some different colored stars or different shape. We have McDonald's, we've got Nike, we have IBM. We used to represent states, but in a very cynical way, it now represents the corporations that are contributing to our campaigns. And what is it buying? Well, 28% of the funds that was collected was made from a loophole in the campaign finance laws. And that loophole that I'm talking about is called bundling. This is by far the fastest growing way to grow funds. What happens is a corporation or a political action committee can go to their people, go to their members, collect up to $4,200 per family. And if you have 100 members, well, you just do the math. $42,000 over in one night. I think it's a little $420,000 if it's 100. So you can raise a lot of money in a little bit of time. I like this. Also want to point out I've got a nice little from Frontline here. They did a documentary. So You Want to Buy a President. I just thought that was a great logo to put up on here. Kind of like a how-to book. And here's how to do it. Candidates cannot make it on their own. The TV airwaves and everything get flooded, and we all know the negative campaign ads, but that's really the mass majority of their budget. And what can $5.3 billion buy? We can do a lot of good with that besides giving it to the TV executives, I think, especially with all the new technology going on to the web and everything, and the other news can be on our newspaper. But here we can show you how bundling really kind of goes. One person can donate to donate up to $4,200. Excuse me. And then, but that's just one individual. But if you have 4 friends, are all contributors, like on the bottom, they gave it to one guy. He's now have 4 checks for $4,200, and then he goes right to that candidate. And George Bush, I think, was one of the best. He actually named his groups by how many members they have, by how much they gave him. Was it 100,000? Was it 200,000? Was it 500,000? And they're like named like the Rangers or like the Cowboys or some kind of vague, excuse me, name like that. And this was off of the New York Times, I might add. So it was a published article there. We all should care. We are the people. We put these people into power. We have choices. We have the choice not to be ignorant on who is making these decisions. We can make our democratic nation work for us again. And this is what I want to work for. Amongst the many problems that everybody's saying, like, well, where's the money going? And I compiled a survey for this speech. 38% said that they trust our electoral system. 62% say they didn't. Next slide I'm going to show you is kind of off the subject a little bit, but again from the New York Times Magazine. Had a little warning. Your vote may be lost. It destroyed, miscounted, wrongly attributed, or hacked. Now, does this really apply to what I was getting at with the cost of elections? But really, big money will do anything to get their people into office. So, by these means or others, this is one of the main reasons why we generally have low voter turnout, and we need to turn that around. Nationally, voter turnout or confidence is, no surprise, the same as my poll. We're even taking apart and dividing up by McCain and Obama in 2008. The highest people that voter confidence was 50. If they believe that their vote counted, I believe if I'm reading that's right, is very confident, or partially confident, but the numbers still stay the same. And we got to change that.
Oh, before you go on, Ron, what do the colors mean back on that other graph?
They mean like not at all confident is like the red, partly confident is the yellow, green is very confident, and then blue is not at all confident. And this is just a poll, but you can look at those numbers and do the math, and it does not seem to equal 100.
So what, I can't quite see the top number that,
For Obama here, I think that's...
I mean, the top bar that one or two of them goes above.
It goes above, that's 50%.
Oh, okay, all right. Okay,
So-
I see the number.
And we can go numbers and numbers, but this is a vague, a very vague presentation type of thing that I've got more numbers and more documentation that I can have available later. What do we have to do? Just moving on here, because I want to keep my time and respect your time as well. Closing the loopholes will level the playing field for all candidates. And what I mean by that is that an incumbent, or the guy that's in office, has the next guy trying to get into that office has a very hard time, because he has, the incumbent has a lot more resources available to him, or her. So it's almost impossible to supplant an incumbent. I mean, that's why we have lifelong people in the Senate. People have been elected for over and over again, 30 years. How does that happen? It's not just because people just keep on voting for them, it's because they simply outspend them. And that's not the case all the time, but it's starting to look that way. We need to create positive voter confidence and strengthening the belief that one vote can make a difference. I mean, in 2008, we had the largest turnout in our country for votes. And that was still, I think, barely over 50% of the population voted. of the voting population. So that means if you're over 18, over 16, depending on what state you're in. And then as we go on, I'd like to go on to Ed Koch's little saying. He was a mayor of New York. If you agree with me on 9 of the 12 issues, vote for me. If you agree 12 out of 12 issues, see a psychiatrist. I see that far too often in our issues, and everybody's like this and this and this. Not even, they just like agree with it and they don't really understand it. And you also got to look at who's supporting the candidate, who is funding their organization. I mean, the money just doesn't just happen, and this person is just, might be a genuine person, but who is funding it? Because they might not be somebody you like, and they're paying them for an ear. You can have meetings on an annual basis. And it doesn't take much. So to review, they spent $5.3 billion in 2008, bundling and can allow a candidate unlimited contributions. I mean, in one dinner, he could have 50 execs of the top companies in the country, and if they all have 100 checks, $4,200, that's, I mean, overnight you're a millionaire or billionaire, depending on how big it gets. I believe bundling needs to be handled with more regulation by the FEC, Federal Election Commission. We need to put a limit how much they can totally contribute, how much money can come out of one single source. And that's going to be kind of hard to do, but we as the people, we as 99%, I hate to go back to going into that, into the movement that's going on, but they are right. We are the 99%, but the companies are controlling much of our government, much of the decisions. So we need to have that cut off at the legs. We, the people, need to be proactive in whom we vote for, not by just party, not by just belief. We need to know what these people are doing. And I'm taking it off of a 99% campaign here. We can get it right, is my own saying, but this is, I found you cannot evict an idea whose time has come. And we are the 99%. And that says a good amount there. And this is the end of my presentation. And I appreciate you guys for coming, and I'll answer any questions you guys have.
So, what about controlling how much the stations charge for all their ads, for all the political?
That's, I mean.